Day 2 of the NFL draft is here. The Ravens are picking at pick 59 and 91 tonight, and it's feeling like a beautiful day to add to the trenches. We went safety last night with Malachi Starks. I'm not mad at that pick at all. I've seen a lot of fans that are happy about it, and then I've seen a lot of fans that are like, we're ignoring O-line. And I'm with you. We need to add to the O-line. I am with you. Trust me. I am with you. But a lot of guys went, man. I mean, outside of Josh Simmons, I think the Ravens just had Starks above him on their board. But it's not like a lot of those guards that we were talking about in round one were even available. They all went. You know, the tackles went. Like, everyone was kind of gone besides Simmons. So that's the one guy I guess you could argue that pick. But Malachi Starks is a home run safety too, you know, and really is going to sure things up in the back end of our secondary. I still think we need to draft an outside corner too. We're going to go through some options of guys that make sense for the Ravens today that are great players and at positions of need. There's so many guys that still are here that fell from the first round. I mean, everyone wanted Donovan Ezeraku. He's still available. I don't see the Ravens trading up, and he's probably going to go before their second round pick. So I'm not saying that that's a likely option. I'm just saying there are still a ton of options out there. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about Mike Green. I think that we're not taking him most likely because of that sexual assault charge. I could be wrong. I just feel like the Ravens are not going to want to deal with that right now, especially with the Tucker situation. It just seems unlikely that the Ravens are going to bring in a high draft pick that has something looming like that, but I could be wrong. You never know. I think he's a talented player. I think that Norman Lott is a great option to add to the interior defensive line. The Ravens have to add to the trenches today. I don't know if they'll go both picks. I would like to go both picks, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I know a lot of people are like, we're good with Voorhees and Falele. I disagree. We need to add competition. If they win the job, awesome. Congrats, Voorhees. Congrats, Falele. That's sick. But to not push them, to not have anyone but Ben Cleveland behind them scares me. And adding, depth way later in the draft, 4th, 5th, 6th round, those linemen are basically guaranteed to not start this year. But if we add a lineman on day 2 today in the 2nd or 3rd round, we got Roger Rosengarten in the 2nd round last year. Look how much he played. Look at the impact that he had as a rookie. So I think we could still get some solid linemen that are available today. It doesn't have to be in the 2nd round, but at least by the 3rd round, we need to add a lineman to this room. Someone who could probably play guard, in my opinion, but I think a versatile tackle is not a bad option either. That's what Josh Simmons would have been. We don't really have a tackle need at the moment, but we will in a few years when Ronnie's contract's up. We're not going to re-sign him again, most likely. So having a guy who could play inside at guard for a year or two, or at least push Voorhees and Falele for competition and then be our starting tackle, that's a good option. The versatility never hurts. Or they're just a versatile backup who could fill in at tackle or guard. We need someone who has some versatility and can also bring some immediate competition to the guard play in the trenches. So that's my focus for today. I think that there's still some solid names out there. In the 3rd round, I'm looking at Wyatt Millum. I think that he's a dog. I think he would fit in perfectly. He's a versatile player. Also like Charles Grant from William & Mary, versatile tackle once again, quick feet. I feel like he could plug in and add some competition or at least depth right now. Whatever we got to do, I know the Ravens have scouted more than I have, so whatever we got to do to add to the trenches today, I think is crucial. Because the later you get in the draft, the less impact guys you're going to have. I'm not saying we're not going to hit on a guy in the 4th or 5th round, but when's the last time we saw a 4th or 5th round pick come in and have a huge impact in year 1? It's very, very unlikely. But today, the 2nd and 3rd round picks, and who knows, we could end up making a trade. I think if there's going to be a trade with a Mark Andrews or somebody, I think that would happen tonight. So we could get another 2nd or 3rd round pick. But regardless, these guys are still short-term impact players. Like, I think that a guy that we draft tonight in the second round could still play a pivotal role for this team. Like I said earlier, look at Roger Rosengarten. Roger Rosengarten was massive for the Ravens last year. We got him in the second round. The Ravens can still make a pick like that tonight on offense or defense, but I really want to add to this offensive line. I also want to add to the interior defensive line. I think that is a must as well. I think on the interior defensive line, I like Norman Lott from Tennessee. I like Darius Alexander from Toledo, TJ Sanders from South Carolina. These are all good interior defensive options. And edge is still really important too. I know our room is more crowded on the roster on edge, but it's a lot of question marks. You know, who knows what's going to happen with David Ojabo? He might take a leap and live up to his second round draft stock, or he might not even make the team. I mean, it's like polar opposite directions here. I don't know what we're getting with David Ojabo. I don't know what we're getting with Adisa Isaac. Kyle Van Noy's obviously not going to be here probably after this year. Who knows if Odafe Owe is going to be here after this year. He's in his final year. So there's a lot of question marks at edge, and it would make a lot of sense to still draft a pass rusher. So we talked about Mike Green still being available. I think a lot of teams are uneasy about that sexual assault case, but he's talented. He's talented. I think he's going to, if that case gets cleared up, he's going to bring a lot to a team. So he's still available. I don't see the Ravens going there. Also, Donovan Ezaraku, but I do see him going pretty early tonight. I don't think that the Ravens are going to have him available at their pick, but we'll see. If he is, that's a home run pick. There's also Nick Scorton from Texas A&M. That's an option tonight in the second round. I think Landon Jackson from Arkansas is an option tonight. Braden Swinson from LSU. These are all names at edge that make a lot of sense, especially in the second round. I think the Ravens can find good value there. There's a lot of guys that are first-round potential guys that are slipping into this second round. And Eric DeCosta talked about in his press conference last night, the draft's pretty flat after, the chunk of elite first-round talent. It's pretty wide open from the second to fourth round. He thinks that a lot of guys are kind of on a similar playing field when it comes to evaluations. And, I trust the Ravens scouting department to go find some gems then. If it's pretty even over the next 3 rounds, if there's just a huge chunk of guys that are really, really solid, this is a deep class, I trust the Ravens to go make a good pick. Hopefully that also aligns with a need. I don't want to just start drafting wide receivers or another safety or something like that. Even though there's still some solid safeties there too, there's still some really solid receivers. I just think we have other pressing needs. And I think tonight is a perfect night to address the trenches because we went safety in round 1. That's fine. I do think Malachi Starks is one of the best players in the entire draft, so I'm good with going that direction. But now we need to switch and pivot to the trenches. And offensive line, defensive line, edge is a must, at least with one of our picks. The only other pick that I think I'd be cool with is a corner because there's still a lot of corners that are available there that have a lot of talent, man. We could go get another starting corner tonight. I mean, Will Johnson's still on the board for Michigan. That's a crazy fall. I guess a lot of teams are very concerned with his knee. He's going to go somewhere early tonight, though, most likely. And if that knee ends up being okay, he's going to be a great player in the league. So I totally get being cautious with guys that have injuries because you don't want to draft a guy, especially in the second round, and then it comes out to be true that, okay, he's just got consistent chronic knee issues and he can never stay healthy. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but Will Johnson's a great player. You got Trey Amos still sitting there at corner. I think that would be an absolute steal if we land him in the second round tonight. Siobhan Revel from East Carolina. I know he's coming off an injury, but I think that would be a steal in the second round. Thomas, Florida State corner. I think that's a steal in the second round. There's a lot of great corners still sitting there. So I wouldn't be that mad if we went corner. I know we just went secondary last night, but having an insanely deep and strong secondary also helps the pass rush. So kind of knocking 2 birds out with one stone. I know it doesn't help the future of our pass rush a ton. So obviously going to have a hole at edge again next year, but freeing Kyle Hamilton up helps our pass rush. Now Kyle Hamilton's going to be able to blitz often again, and the Ravens are going to be able to blitz in a variety of directions. I think that we can help our edge situation by having such a stacked secondary. It's not that I want to neglect the edge position. I'm just saying if we have another really strong outside starting corner that falls to us again tonight, like one of those names I was just talking about, it's not a dumb decision to go take that corner, because we have questions at outside corner too. I mean, hopefully TJ Tampa steps up and becomes what we think he can. I think TJ Tampa is a great player. So, but he's got to prove it in the NFL. You know, I'm going off college tape and athleticism, but I think that there's still a hole there. You know, we need depth at corner. After TJ Tampa, it's Jalen Armour-Davis. And I know we just signed Awuzie, so that helps depth out a lot. And who knows, he might even start. If he's completely healthy and, you know, ready to go, then he might start above TJ Tampa and Jalen Armour-Davis. But it just doesn't hurt to add a really, really solid corner to the mix here. So I wouldn't be mad if we go corner, but then we have to go offensive line in round 3, in my opinion, or defensive line. But I want to attack the trenches tonight. The only other position that I think we could land a really quality player at is corner. Other than that, we better attack the trenches, whether that's defensive line, edge, or offensive line. One or two of those picks tonight need to be that. But let me know what you guys are thinking about tonight. Who did I not mention? Who would you be targeting tonight? What position groups are you targeting tonight? Let me know in the comments. Cannot wait to see who we bring in round 2 and 3. And who knows, maybe we'll have more than just 2 picks. You never know. But either way, I'll have a video up an hour or two after the picks are done tonight. And appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you tonight.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.